Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video, and this is a pretty big one because we do have the announcement, the reveal of Yangchen Book 2, which as you can see here is Avatar The Last Airbender, The Legacy of Yangchen, which is Chronicles of the Avatar Book 4 overall. Now, originally where I saw this, it was on Abrams Books, and as you can see here, they don't have a cover listed. But a bit of looking around, clicking on the right links, will lead you to the fact that you'll see that listings have gone up for this all over the place. And we do actually get the cover. A few places have it, actually, so we can actually take a look at that, and we will get back to it. But for now, let's focus on the details here. So, hardcover, 1999, July 18th, 2023. So as expected, July release, basically a year after the book from last year, Yangchen Book 1, Dawn of Yangchen. Page count 336, though I believe other places say it's different, 352, but I think this is a digital edition, so I don't really know what that means, because I think 336 was listed as the last book's page count, so this might be slightly more accurate. It might be slightly longer, which I think would make sense, but we'll get to all of that, of course. Then we have the description, of course. So, a thrilling new chapter in the Chronicles of the Avatar series, page-turning follow-up to the Dawn of Yangchen. So here we go. Common enemies make for strange friends. Interesting already. Avatar Yangchen has succeeded in bringing a measure of stability to Bin-Er, but her successes have been limited to a single city, and rumors concerning unanimity, a weapon capable of total obliteration, have led to increasing tensions among the four nations. Desperate to restore diplomacy, Yangchen attempts to de-escalate hostilities between heads of state. But in the wake of a brutal assassination and the freeing of unanimity, Yangchen is forced to bring Kavik, the trusted former companion whose betrayal crushed her, back into the fold. As the four nations teeter on the brink of conflict, and she begins to unravel the power-hungry Zongdu Chai-Si's true agenda, Yangchen is forced to measure the worth of humanity and how much can be sacrificed in the name of balance. This taut and provocative fourth installment in the Chronicles of the Avatar series follows Avatar Yangchen as she charts the course of her legacy, finally making peace with her choices and facing Avatarhood with the courage it demands. So, very, very interesting. We'll let that linger for a little bit and take a look at the cover. So I'll try and zoom in on this as much as I can here without just completely obscuring it. So purple color scheme, very nice. I thought they might go for orange yellow to match Airbender colors, and for the first four books it would be hitting the colors of each of the elements, but purple works as well. I do like that. Legacy of Yangchen makes complete sense. I think for this character, and in terms of where you maybe want to leave her story off, you want to establish sort of how this character became known as one of the best avatars ever. And so with the whole Bin-Er stuff from the end of the first book, she's accomplished that in one location. So I'm guessing this book will be about how she does that on a worldwide scale. So we have Yangchen here. Very nice. But we also have Kavik down here. So nice to see the two of them on the cover. They kind of the same thing as they did in with the Kyoshi books, where the first book was just Kyoshi, and then it was Kyoshi and Rangi. This one it's Yangchen, now it's Yangchen and Kavik, so that's pretty nice. And then as we can see here, this is the Northern Air Temple, which makes sense based on the description of the book that we just got, and I suppose where the first book ended as well, because unanimity is basically being kept at the Northern Air Temple, so it seems like at least a decent amount of action at the start of the book will happen at the Northern Air Temple. So FCE once again, writing of course Chronicles of the Avatar, very, very nice. So glad we do have the cover as well. I'm guessing the listings have literally just gone up today, because the other piece of news, the stuff about the calendar that I found yesterday, I was convinced that, like, well, if that's here, the Yangchen book should be announced, but it definitely wasn't up yesterday. So it seems like this stuff has only just gone up in the last day or so, because I checked Abrams Books website yesterday and it wasn't here. So it's literally just gone up, and obviously some places do have the cover, some places don't have the cover. I'm wondering, is there maybe some sort of more official announcement coming, like an article that they're waiting to put all the stuff up, but who knows? It could just be just a messy kind of announcement, and the next day or two it'll all pop up. So let's go back to the description here. So common enemies make for strange friends. So okay, so I guess she's going to end up teaming up with people she didn't expect to against her enemies. So that's an interesting one. I don't think that necessarily is referring to Kavik, because they explain pretty clearly what's going to happen there. So I don't know, does that mean like Zhongdu Honsha is about to kind of come more into play here? But then there's also the mention here, like this is probably the key part here. There's a brutal assassination and unanimity gets freed. So who gets assassinated? The obvious candidates would be that, like, do some of the heads of the Northern Air Temple get assassinated, or does Honsha get assassinated potentially to eliminate him from play? Because he's there as well at the Northern Air Temple. But the whole point is that unanimity, the combustion benders, are the ones who get freed. Now, interestingly, they avoid saying the spoilers. It's been like a while now at this point, like, we're talking about the speculation for the second book. I don't think we need to keep that in play anymore, so I'll be talking a bit more openly about that. So yeah, combustion benders are going to be freed. So she is forced then to bring Kavik into play. After the betrayal, of course, that still affects her back into the fold. But Kavik, of course, is working with Mama Yunarak as part of the Order of the White Lotus. So I wonder how that's going to play into this as well. Is that what they're talking about here? Is it Yangchen being forced to team up with the Order of the White Lotus, which now includes her former friend Kavik? That's interesting, and I like that they're just making it clear. You won't be going into this book wondering, will the two meet up again? They're going to meet up again. So that's going to be very, very exciting. So again, they point out here at the top, she's brought stability to Binur, but it has been limited to just the one city. This is not something that is immediately spread to the other Shang cities. Rumors are spreading about what unanimity actually is. There's no way to fully cover up what happened because it was so kind of out in the open, even though they ultimately got dealt with somewhat effectively by Yangchen. But eventually, of course, you expect the leaders of the other nations to find out about it, and we know that it's a pretty tense atmosphere in the world because of the whole Platinum affair and what's going on, and there's a lot of hostilities about to come into play. She needs to restore diplomacy. So that's one of the things we've been waiting for, is like, which leader, which nation is kind of orchestrating this? And then let's not forget that we also have Chicey in all of this, where we don't fully know what she's exactly up to. She's obviously become sort of a huge part of like what unanimity is now that it's kind of active. And we're obviously waiting for this book to reveal to us the full details on, how they actually, quote unquote, created the combustion benders and what the whole process that kind of Thapa alluded to, what actually was. So you assume that's going to come out. But also Chicey is kind of like an interesting character, where she tells Yangchen she just wants to do her role as Zhongdu and then basically retire. Like they only are in power for a certain amount of time. But she is power hungry. She clearly wants to maintain a larger legacy because she's basically about to start a family, because she's pregnant. Realistically, when we start this book, she should be just about to give birth, or probably maybe already has. What's happening with that? Who's the father? There's loads of questions here in all of this. Don't forget, with Kavik in play, that his brother Kalyan is still out there, and of course he was involved in the whole kind of Shang merchant stuff and all this craziness happening. He was working for Honsha in all this. Where is he going to play into all of this ultimately? And then they're talking about, forced to measure the worth of humanity, how much can be sacrificed in the name of balance. And that's definitely alluding to the fact that she, I guess, is going to be put into a situation where unanimity might be affecting the entire world. I'm guessing they'll reveal there are probably more combustion benders than we thought, and she might be forced to make some tough decisions. How's this going to play out? What will she choose? And then interestingly, at the end, this seems to just be the standard sort of tagline for these books, but they do kind of make it a little bit more specific. Charts the course of her legacy, finally making peace with her choices and facing Avatar with the courage, being the Avatar with the courage it demands. Because, we see that Yangchen sort of struggles with the idea that, she in a way would like to be just the diplomat, and if that worked, she'd happily just be that. But she is forced to be Spy Master Yangchen kind of more often than she wants to be, and, does that affect her legacy? Kind of like a Unarak talks about in that very important scene at the end of the first book. So her finally just like accepting, this is who she is, that she can make these choices. And because she had doubts, like especially towards the end of the book, like she was on the verge of almost like giving up until she got that boost of hope that like the people you saved earlier on in the book, they're doing okay. We found her son and it was all thanks to you. That it's worth it when you get these wins. And I'm guessing that's what we're going to do here, is we're going to build up the idea of this event is what makes her one of the best known avatars, most well-regarded avatars on a worldwide scale. Not just one place, not just Binner, but across the world. So sounds fascinating. There's a lot going on here, even in just the description, because so much was set up. I think this has the potential to be an incredible book because there is so much set up with Yangchen, Kavik, his brother, their dynamic themselves. Let's not forget that, Yangchen's former kind of mentor, trapped in the spirit world. We have to come back to that at some point. That was directly set up in the first book as well. But where are we going to get a chance to do that in the middle of all this stuff happening here? Will that be left until the very end of the book or what? It seems very, very interesting. But of course, the big thing, assassination and the freeing of unanimity. What's going to happen here? But it for sure seems like the combustion benders are going to come back into play. And I'm assuming they'll make sure to use them in a way where Yangchen can't just, in a way almost effortlessly, take them out in the way that she did at the end of the first book. So even more dangerous kind of situations at play here. So very, very excited for this, of course. So yeah, Legacy of Yangchen coming in July. So, it's crazy to think, but like we're under 4 months away from the release of this book. Like we're just over 3.5 months away from this book. That's crazy that it's just come out of nowhere, announced, and it's coming immediately soon. Whereas like say the Azula comic, it's felt like we've known about it for so long, and it's taking an eternity to come out, and even that's out afterwards. But this plus the Azula comic alone should make this a really, really strong year, when maybe at the start, when this stuff wasn't announced, it wasn't looking great for the year overall. So, exciting times, of course. I'm assuming as the days go on, we'll find out about stuff like, is there going to be a Barnes & Noble special edition of this book? I assume there probably will be, because I think those did quite well for them the first 2 times, so there might be some extras. Keep an eye out for that. We'll find out about the audiobook and stuff like that, but, we have it. It's great. Exciting times. Last little bits of news here. As I said before, the 2024 calendar was also announced. Also an Abrams book product. This is the new calendar for next year. It's going to come out in October, specifically the 3rd of October. And as you can see here, it's going to be Dark Horse comic sort of themed. They're not using the kind of novel cover artist. Instead, they are using Dark Horse stuff. And so we have the cover here, but nothing really else. You can see here they're using the North and South Library Edition cover. A little bit boring just because it's also used on the omnibus spine kind of combined image. I just hope with this, it's not just all the covers. I hope there's more to this than just ATLA cover. I hope it's not just the 6 library edition covers plus a select grouping of the other covers, and that there is a little bit more variety to this. Now, they mentioned like some of the characters here, Aang, Katara, Sokka, Azula, Toph, but those characters all appear on the cover, so I'm not necessarily sure about that. I'd love to see them make some nice select choices from the interior art of some of these books, but I have my doubts. I think this comes across, at least right now, being skeptical. I feel they'll do this in quote unquote the lazy way and just have it be the most basic one imaginable. It still could be quite fun because, of course, like it says here, there's going to be a bonus print, so I wonder which image that one will actually be, but we don't know just yet what's going to happen here. Definitely, like I said before, wait until we get the back cover image where it reveals all the images in the book before putting in a pre-order for this. That should be probably within the next couple of months, so just keep that in mind. And then last but not least, another Avatar news rumor. This time, another new potential title for a series. Avatar New Generations has apparently started casting. Now, he adds in some extra clarification here because it's getting quite confusing because it feels like 3 or 4 projects are in production at this point and 3 or 4 projects have started casting at the same point, and it's very unclear which characters are associated necessarily with which project, because we seem to have more heavy rumors to suggest, of course we know, confirmed, the first movie is older ATLA characters. Aang at 24, and so on. It seems like one of the more heavy rumors that he's really strong about is the first series will be the Earth Avatar series for 2025. So you would assume if they're casting, it's for either of those 2 shows. But then there's been heavy rumors recently that they're casting the entire Kyoshi cast in this. So what are we doing here? Is that for the movie? Is that for the series? Because it seems like this is more tied to the series. But how does that work in a way? You've got the main Kyoshi cast having sizable roles in the Earth Avatar show. There's a way to make it work. But if it's called New Generations, that kind of could come across as being maybe a little bit anthology style. So maybe the first arc of New Generations is about the Kyoshi characters. Maybe they'll introduce the Earth Avatar after Korra later on in this series. It's very hard to predict. And he's trying the best he can to tie together a lot of this scattered information. Because this is where you really see that he gets these kind of tiny little pieces of information and he tries to kind of link them together with other stuff to make it a bit clearer. But I think it's just inherently very unclear about what exactly is going on here. We don't know the exact involvement of the Kyoshi characters, what project they're associated with. This could still be the movie, or it could be the show. This also could just be a kind of codename type thing, a placeholder title. It's so difficult to actually kind of really picture what exactly is going on here. And I hope they announce the series sooner rather than later, because if they announced the movie already, and we know it's October 2025, if this is also meant to be for 2025, shouldn't we at this point, a couple of months into this year, also know about it? So, I don't know, it just feels like at the conventions this year, it feels like Avatar Studios just has to announce what they're doing, what their first at least 2 or 3 projects are. Because it's getting awkward and confusing with these rumors at this point, but I am glad we have the rumors, so it's not just completely radio silent. So, there is the video. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on The Legacy of Yangchen, finally announced, coming out at basically when we expect it to, July 18th. What are your thoughts on the cover, the description, everything we know about it right now? Any thoughts on the 2024 comic-themed calendar? And then whatever New Generations is going to be. So actually some interesting stuff to talk about here. The year feels like it's been saved, or at least sort of solidified, because finally we know the relief of just, we have our novel for this year. Great. So let me know what your thoughts are below, but that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.